And we're back from the break, and this is Eagle Sports Insiders. It's great to be back after the week off we had. A lot happened in the world of sports. The NBA trade deadline, the NHL trade deadline was yesterday, and a lot to get into. But first, NCAA hoops. And I tell you, finally the Eagles get a win on the road, and they get a win in general, right after 6 straight losses, right? If I remember correctly.
Something like that, yep.
Something like that. They finally get a win. But the big thing is they got a big win in a big way from a man who we've been talking about for the past couple weeks, who decided to finally show up. 50 points in the game. We're talking about good old Mr. Raven Lee. And I tell you guys, is this the change that the Eagles needed going into this Friday night game against Toledo, and the last game before going into the MAC tournament maybe could change it around?
This is what they needed this whole time. Really, they just need Ray Lee to get back healthy and get back into the ways that we've known of him for the past couple years. I mean, 50 points. He's going to give you one of those games every year.
Yeah.
He's done it like every year.
And he did. He did the 60-pointer against Ball State.
10 for 16 from 3. 17 for 26 from the field. He had 9 misses. That's insane. He was so great.
But the problem is, though, he's living from a 3-ball. Can you honestly
13
say...
from 6 from 3.
But can you honestly say that if he's to continue this success, he has to continue to hit threes? Or can he continue this success if he has an off night from the 3-point line? Because clearly it seems like the only time he ever has an explosive night is when he's hitting 10 3-pointers.
It is. We'll get back to that in a second. Let's take a look real quick at the division standings. 7-10, 15-15. You're currently in the 7th seed right now, tied for the 7th seed going into the MAC tournament starting next week. A win against Toledo Friday night at home to close out the season on senior night. You're going to play Monday at home against nobody really knows. A loss, you're going on the road, possibly against Toledo.
So
Thoughts?
It's really tough. I mean, can we beat Toledo? I mean, Toledo's always been kind of one of those iffy teams where they can show up one day, they can not show up the next. What is it going to be? And for us, is Ray Lee going to show up one day or not show up? Is it because he had this 50-point game that now he's going to go back to his normal self and kind of struggle shooting? Or can he keep up this momentum? Mm-hmm. And also, not just him, Willie Mangum. Willie Mangum had a good game. Mm-hmm. And he was hitting 3-pointers too. Now, the big problem, Ty Toney.
Yes.
Ty Toney is still struggling, and we need him.
Yes.
We need him
You
badly.
need a full. Will this bring it in full circle? Well, was this finally the key to opening them up and bringing them back with this team that they thought when they were picked to finish first in the West and to win the division and to make a big run in the MAC and everything and all around? I mean, is this the key now that Friday night we see everybody come out of it? They get a home game Monday to start the MAC tournament. They win that and they advance and play Thursday.
I'm feeling a lot more confident if on Friday they obliterate Toledo.
Yep.
I think if they come out strong, I'm feeling a lot more confident than I am if it's a close, tight win. Because that Eastern Michigan team can beat just about anybody in the MAC.
Yeah.
And they can.
And this
But-
was the team that we thought was going to win it all right from the beginning.
Yeah, and here's the big thing. I'm just looking at the box score from this past game. Here's something that really worries me. They had when you score over 100 points, there's usually 5 or 6 guys who are double figures. They had 3. Willie Mangum, James Thompson, and Ray Lee. That's really concerning.
James Thompson did have another double-double, though. And I think the big thing about his double-double were 6 of his 14 rebounds were on the offensive board.
Okay, now let me ask you guys this question. They didn't get into foul trouble, right?
No.
Nope. So wait. So there we go. We talked about it. Before we were off for a week, we talked about it in the games. What did James Thompson need to do? You need to stay out of foul trouble.
He had one foul.
He had one foul. So wait, so you're telling me completely that if you do what needs to be done, that's staying out of foul trouble, you're going to have one of your main guys who's done this before, did it last year when he put up 60 against Ball State. You stay out of foul trouble, you're going to put up over 100 points. You're going to stay consistent. Everybody's going to stay consistent, and you're getting the job done. So going into this game, you need to stay out of foul trouble. You need to stay consistent. You need to not let yourselves get wrapped up in your head.
Yep.
And you just need to go into this game, and you got to come out strong. You got to come out just to and obliterate them.
And I think a big part of this game, and we haven't touched on it yet, is look at what they did to Central Michigan on the three-point line. They held them to about 17% shooting. They held Marcus Keene to 1 of 8.
How many points did he have for that night?
He only had 21 points that game.
Okay, so hold on.
So the guy who's averaging the most points per game in all of NCAA Division I
Yes.
was held to 21 points and 1 of 8 from the three-point line.
Okay, so hold on a second. So let me get this straight. So we open up the max season.
Yep.
He shoots 26 here, goes on, and he has everything higher than that the rest of the season.
Yeah.
He plays us, it's like we're poison, and he only puts up 21 at home against us.
And we're saying that as if 21 is bad.
Well,
Yeah,
it is, and 21's not bad.
No, it's not.
But it's-
to be honest, I mean, this is a guy who is, in a sense, collegiate-wise, Steph Curry, like with how many points he is just putting up. And I understand he's not playing the teams that, Steph Curry had played, but 21 points, 1 of 8 from the three. I don't know if that was just him having an off night or if necessarily we were just playing that good of defense, if we truly did get into his head. And if that's so, whatever we did, we need to take it into Friday night's game.
A little thing that concerns me before we continue. The free throw line. It's been a poison at sometimes for Eastern Michigan. They've been hitting about 70% throughout the whole year. And when other teams are hitting about 85,
They hit 70% in this game, too.
yeah, free throws have cost this team games occasionally.
All right, big game Saturday night. I know it's, I like it. I'm going to watch it. I'll sit there. Hopefully I get back from Columbus, going to the Arnold Classic this weekend, though. But big game. Duke, North Carolina, the largest rival in NCAA basketball and one of the top 5 in all of college sports.
I think in sports in general.
And, well, hold on and finish my statement. Look at you, you're cutting me off. I feel like I'm like over here, you're cutting me off. And it's a top 10 in all of sports. But this is your two guys' game right here. And we'll get to my game that happened last night, which is an embarrassment. But thoughts on Duke, North Carolina this weekend, guys?
UNC's going to win. And it sounds so simple, but here's why. Every year, Duke and UNC play twice. And almost every year, they switch it up.
Yes.
Duke usually wins at home, and then UNC wins at home. Now, what happened this year? Duke won at home. This is a game in Chapel Hill. This is a tough place to play. And to be honest, UNC is going to end up being a number 1 seed, most likely, in the NCAA tournament. They are going to bring this win. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy because you have guys like Kennard and Grayson Allen, but when you have a guy like Justin Jackson, and if Joel Berry can hit his stride and truly score these points, I don't see Duke stopping them. I just don't. But now I know you, on the other hand, think Duke has this.
I think they have a shot at winning this one. I mean, you add all that talent. They're the most unpredictable team in college basketball.
Yeah.
Because if you catch them on a good day, we're talking about the best team in the country.
True.
They have more talent than anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's just talking about the freshmen alone. I'm talking about Luke Kennard, Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen is so important to this team. It cannot be emphasized enough.
Unless he trips people. And to be honest, this is one of those games where if he gets caught tripping someone, that is not going to fly.
Somebody's going to storm down the field and punch him in the face.
This is going to be one of those games, and whether it be a fan or a player, that's just not going to happen in Chapel Hill. I think it's going to be a close game, but I mean, we'll truly see. I think this is something that people need to look at when it comes to what the NCAA tournament's going to be like towards the Final Four and something like that. This is a Final Four, if not an NCAA tournament championship game. These
Yeah.
are two high caliber teams. Both teams, on a good day, could be the #1 team in the country.
But it's true, though. And it really is
And
true.
it's scary.
All right. Before we go to a break, we got to talk about me being a big Michigan guy and whatnot. I'm sitting at home watching the Michigan Northwestern game. Going into it, Michigan should win this game. You would expect them to win this, but Northwestern has a lot on the plate. They're playing for that 21st win. They're really trying to punch their ticket. Well, last night, Michigan got embarrassed with literally 1.3 seconds on the clock. And I tell you, I don't think I've ever seen such an 80-yard pass looking like a football player out there. And I tell you right now, Michigan just got embarrassed last night, and they might not even punch their ticket since Northwestern decided to do that anyway.
I thought that was impressive, though.
But it
I mean, you
was.
got to give it to him. I mean, this is a basketball player throwing that bomb, and then it's another guy catching it.
All right.
It was beautiful.
When we come back here on Eagle Sports Insiders, we're going to talk NHL trade deadline that ended yesterday. We'll be right back.
In this day and age of compromised accounts and data breaches, having a strong password is not enough to keep you and your personal information safe. Someone who steals your password could gain access to all your data with nothing to stop them. The Eagle Security Package offers Duo, a tool that provides an additional layer of security to your online accounts through two-factor authentication. This means Duo not only uses something you know, your password, but also something you have access to, such as your mobile device. Duo's two-factor authentication gives you the power to keep your data safe, even if your password is lost. Once Duo is set up, you can access protected sites with your login credentials like you normally would. But it will now be preceded by a message sent to your mobile device prompting you to accept or deny the login. If it's you who logged in, hit the green button to accept it. But if it's not you, hit the red button to deny it. By doing so, this extra step will take a forefront stance at protecting your online accounts from being compromised or breached, and you'll know right away if an attempt was made. For more information about Duo, please visit tiny.emich.edu/Duo.
All right, we're back here on Eagle Sports Insiders. It was what I call Christmas for me yesterday, being the big NHL guy. Sat in front of the TV. I watched all the trades come in up until the 3-minute mark, or 3 o'clock time slot. And I tell you, they kept coming in up until about the 4 o'clock hour. And there were some big trades, and there were a lot of odd trades, a lot of crazy trades. But I tell you, one of the odd trades a lot of people still question was Steve Yzerman trading Bishop to the Kings.
Yeah.
They didn't really get a whole lot back for him, but giving up a goalie when you're kind of wondering why, well, he's a restricted free agent unrestricted free agent, so you give him up, good trade. Now, I think one of the greatest trades of all time, this trade deadline, was Shattenkirk to the Capitals. I literally think that is one of the best things St. Louis could do. They're fighting for a chance to a spot in the playoffs, but they have a deep bench. They know that they didn't have a chance to keep him. They'd rather get a pick or two out of him like they did, and you send him there. The Caps needed an extra defenseman to help them get over the hump to hopefully finally get a shot at playing for the Cup, which they keep coming up. Get that camera? Just that short. Just that short. Caps are just that short. Just a cap head.
But here's my thing. I think with that trade, you should just give the Capitals the Stanley Cup at this point.
How? Because they choke.
They're the best
No,
team, though.
really?
In the NHL right now, they are the
No, they
best.
are not.
Yes, they are.
No, they are not.
Yes,
The
they are.
Minnesota Wild actually are better.
I am calling it right here, right now. The Capitals are winning the Stanley Cup, and it's not even going to be
All
a
right, hey,
question.
I need my director Kyle to mark the tape on that at 4:16
Mark
on. Mark it. Okay, fine. You know what? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you the secret team that's been on a road right now, and they picked up a wing player, which they're not going to ever use him, which is Yurko. But when the Wings traded Yurko to the Blackhawks, the team that's going to actually make another run and go get another one is going to be the Blackhawks.
I mean, yeah, they're always making the run. I mean, they're a scary team. It's always. But
Now you look at a team there. Let's talk about a couple of the Wings trades. Thomas Yurko went early on, a couple days beforehand, during the trade deadline. Brendan Smith went to the New York Rangers. Now let's talk about a really, really odd trade. Steve Ott, guys, they've already talked about it. He's not going to play at all. He's just going to sit as a healthy scratch. I think where the Wings really messed up was the trade with Thomas Vanek, going to the Panthers. I heard that they spent time and time trying to get it better, and he got the best he could have. Honestly, I don't think he got the best of anything. But I tell you, it's going to be a long 2 years until we get successfully back to playoff contention where we're winning. We're having 100-point seasons midway through March. Yeah. You're being contenders. It's time to rebuild, everybody.
And I kind of think, in my opinion, this isn't going to, like you said, it's not going to happen next year.
No.
It probably won't even happen in 2 years. It'll probably be a third-year thing. And the problem that I have is we're getting these draft picks for next year, like third-round picks and stuff like that. But to be honest, this upcoming draft is not a strong one. It is not a deep class.
No, it's a very weak draft.
And now everyone's saying, we've got Zetterberg in the late round. We got Datsuk. Yeah, those are diamonds in the rough. You're not going to find
Lindstrom in the late round.
Yeah, you're not going to find Lindstrom, Datsuks, or Zetterbergs just every time.
No, you're not.
And this is just rough. We'll see.
I mean, when you're one of the worst teams in hockey, you have to find a way to acquire assets.
But you do, and that's the thing is, now, the biggest thing that a lot of people keep forgetting about is we have a new hockey team joined yesterday. They're officially a team. Yep. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are officially a team. They officially can start doing business. They can start making talks for guys who are out there who aren't even on teams. They can go after coaches. They can do business. The big thing is what you don't understand is going into this year, Bishop going to the Kings. Smart. CUI got rid of him because he might lose him anyway.
Yeah.
And the Knights have talked about picking up Bishop. You know, who are you going to lose? Who's going to stick around? That is the biggest question now, looking forward going into June.
Yep.
The season's over with. The Wings are done. Let's relax, enjoy the last 10 home games at the Joe, sit back, and enjoy the good times that we had there and realize, you know what, the season's over with. It's time to go into a new stadium. It's time to rebuild. The streak is over, 25 great years of doing it, and God rest his soul, but 25 years got buried with Mr. I.
Oh, yeah. And one thing that I kind of wish happened during the trade deadline, and it may not be a popular opinion, but I really wished we had gotten rid of Nyquist.
Oh, 100%.
Honestly, but the problem
couldn't agree with you more.
He no longer is worth what he was.
No.
Because
you should have traded him last year.
Yes, when his stock was high.
Yes, 100%. I would have traded him away. You want to trade away Nyquist? You look at what the Capitals gave up to get Shattenkirk. Why not go after that? Why not offer Nyquist to the Blackhawks or the Penguins
and say Yurko,
and say give me a first round, a conditional pick maybe, and a 2019 pick somewhere. I mean, this is one of these things you got to get done, and you need to be a little bit smarter. Trade Nyquist away because he's lost his edge. I'd rather be done with him.
Yeah, and the biggest problem with him is his stock fluctuates so much.
It does. Oh my God.
He'll go on 7-game streak where he's scoring a goal or getting 2 assists every game. But then he'll go on 10 to 15 games where he does nothing. And he's basically just a liability out there. He's not putting shots on net. He's not making plays happen.
No, and he's not.
He's not doing anything. And our biggest problem, and you look at one of the trades with the Florida Panthers, we got a defenseman who has been waived already 2 times this season. As soon as we got him.
Talking about the guy we got back.
Yes. As soon as we got him, we assigned him to the Griffins. Like, why do we keep doing things like that? Why don't we go for guys that we know will play right away, that we get? Why aren't we taking trades and giving up possibly some picks?
I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I did a little bit more research, and we're coming short up on time here, but I really think that this is now Chris's team. This is Chris Ilitch's team.
Yeah.
So this is Mr. C's team now. I think it's time to see what he can do. I think we might be seeing a change. I think Ken Holland's on his way out. Ken's contract is up. He's at the end of the year. I think he is at the end of the year, 1 more year. But anyways, it's time to get him out, new faces. It's time to get done and whatnot. And it's, final thoughts on the NHL stuff, guys?
No.
Nothing?
No.
I mean, the only thing you could say is you wish you were bad. You were this bad 2 years ago. Could
Yeah.
have shot some really good players.
Yeah, and you did. So, all right. When we come back here after this quick short break, we're going to talk NBA and the KD issues going on and maybe a little more LeBron when we come back here on Eagle Sports Insiders.
Are you an EMU student interested in getting a first-hand experience working at a radio station? Well, say no more. EMU offers a class through Eagle Radio that will thoroughly prepare you for a real-life experience. But first, you have to register for the class. Pick a date and a time slot. Then the world is yours. Eagle Radio allows you to be fully independent and customize your own show. Have real conversations about the news, celebrity gossip, update listeners about the weather, play a trivia game. It's your show. You're free to name your show whatever you want and play any edited music of your choice. If you love having heated debates and you feel your words need to be heard, then Eagle Radio is just for you.
Welcome back on Eagle Sports Insider. Sorry, guys, we were looking at we'll get into NBA here in a second. We're taking a look at the NHL there and looking at the standings. So the Wings are in the bottom 5 there. So they're in the bottom 5, and right now that gets a chance. And we were, explaining to our good buddy over here that it's a lottery, draft lottery, and how that works.
We do have a chance for the first overall pick. It's not likely, but the chance is there. Now,
Yes.
a top 5 pick, though, that's huge. That's something the Wings haven't had in God knows how many years.
42 years, the Wings, it's been 42, 45 years since the Wings have had a top 5 first-round pick going in. But
Hopefully we don't blow it.
yeah, hopefully you don't blow
I
it.
think that's the biggest
But
thing.
knowing Ken, he might trade it.
Yep.
Knowing him, he'd just trade it away. But anyways, let's get into some NBA. While we were gone in the last few days, big man KD went down, and you've seen a lot of injuries playing throughout the world of the NBA, and the pictures are changing, and now the talks are maybe it's not, everything's not going to happen and play out the way it's going to anymore, and other teams now have a better chance at making runs within the playoffs as we move through March going into April.
Well, KD said it wasn't as bad as everybody's been playing it out. He said they're looking at a timetable of maybe getting back in the first round of the playoffs, maybe possibly by the time the regular season ends. So there's a legitimate possibility he plays this year. But it's not like these big three haven't played together before. It's not like Draymond, Steph, and Klay haven't played together before. You'll just stick Andre Iguodala in the starting lineup.
But here's the thing.
Your bench is awful then. Your bench is just horrible then.
Yeah, but you talk about that, and their biggest problem is who. Do you know the player that they don't have this year that they did last year? They don't have the Harrison Barnes. And last year in the playoffs,
that was a big key.
That was a huge key for them in the playoffs.
Harrison Barnes was a huge key in the playoffs. That was a
did
big,
really well.
successful guy coming off the bench to fill that slot now.
Yeah.
And you need that guy.
And now, to be honest, and here's the thing with KD. They say 3 weeks, but that's just when he's going to be reevaluated.
Yeah,
That's not even saying he's going to come back. That's when they're going to reevaluate his injury. They said 3 weeks to 3 months. If that is the case, and obviously no one hopes it is the case besides maybe some other teams in the NBA, because obviously they want that chance to make it in the West, such as the Spurs or the Houston Rockets. But if that happens to be the case, I truly think that Golden State's done. I do. I don't see. I mean, look at what happened with the Wizards. They couldn't even beat the Wizards, who, in reality, yeah, they're hot, but they're not a great team.
Correct.
I mean, you lose your best player in the game.
Yes.
You're probably gonna lose that game. Like whether it's the second minute, unless it's a blowout, you're probably gonna lose that game when it's that early.
So-
I'm not ready to throw the towel in on them yet. You still have back-to-back MVP Steph Curry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, all right, so let me ask you guys this question. We're looking at Golden State's locked it in. They're in.
Yes.
They are in the Western Conference playoffs. They've locked it in. But does this, with no KD, does this open the door for San Antonio and the Houston Rockets to actually maybe
Take that number 1 spot?
Take the number 1.
Yeah.
Which could hurt Golden State, or I heard it a couple times today on the radio that it could help them. Maybe Golden State needs to sit back and let the Rockets and Spurs take a number 1 seed.
Hash it out.
Let them go for a number. Let Golden State have a 2 or a 3. Easier road.
It was just 2 years ago the Cavs didn't they let the Hawks take the number 1 seed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not out of the question. Anything's you got to rest these guys. You got to rest your top 3 best players, some of your bench. You have to be ready for the playoffs.
And that's the thing. And that's what Golden State really never does. They never rest their players. But at the same time, I don't think they want to be rested. And that is, as much as I hate the Warriors, mainly because my team can't beat them, but the reason why the reason why I actually love them is because these guys want to play. They don't want to sit out and be rested. You see other players in the league, and it's almost like they look forward to those days where they're just like, guys, just sit back. We don't need you this game.
Yep.
Rest up like 1 or 2 games. And Steph Curry's just like, get me in there. Like, I don't even want to be benched.
All right. Last night, it was Boston versus Cleveland.
Yeah.
It was possibly the Eastern Conference Championship game.
It felt like it. The atmosphere
and it felt
everything.
like it did.
Yeah.
103-99, Boston beat Cleveland. Isaiah was on fire. Now, let me ask you this. With the injury prones that have been happening with Cleveland, the issues that are going on, 3 games back Boston with a win last night, could they take first? Does that open the door for other teams? Is there more competition in the East with Boston, the Wizards, and the Raptors? Or does the West have more competition with the Spurs and the Rockets?
I mean, the talent in the West is significantly higher than the East.
Yep.
Which makes me question what Cleveland's record anyway. But
I truly think that this is going to be Boston. I think Boston truly has the chance to take that number 1 seed. Whether or not the injuries pile up or not, I just think Boston is playing at such a high level. They are just, Isaiah Thomas can't be stopped. He can't be stopped.
So that trade that they made to help Isaiah, the trades that happened during the trade deadline when we were gone on break and whatnot, so that's helping Boston now.
In a sense, yeah. And then you look at teams like Toronto who made big time trades too, and they're doing well.
They're right there too.
Serge
6
Ibaka
games
is going
back.
to be huge.
Serge Ibaka is
They're
going
going to be massive.
Because if it comes down to them playing Cleveland, I think Serge Ibaka is a good defender.
Because what was the biggest complaint about Toronto? They weren't physical, and they weren't physical in the paint.
Serge Ibaka
you
is
have
a monster.
You have Valanciunas and Ibaka
Yep.
in the paint. That's ridiculous.
But the problem is Kyle Lowry's out. He is out until the playoffs. He received that injury, and that is the one thing that is really going to hurt them. Now, obviously, DeMar DeRozan, unbelievable player, but he's not the playmaker that Kyle Lowry is. He doesn't dish out the assists that Kyle Lowry does. So it'll be interesting. The West is stronger, but the East is making their run and proving that they're a strong division.
All right. We will regroup this here in a couple weeks here, but we'll catch back up on this when we get ready to wrap up our shows for the season and the semester and whatnot. And I tell you, I'm literally looking forward to seeing where this goes, what happens, and what turns out for this going in through March, as they do call it March Madness in college hoops, and there's March Madness in all of sports. But I guess that's it. So that's all the time we have this week. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Eagle Sports Insiders.
And if you did like our show, be sure to check it out more on ETV programming on YouTube at ETV@EMU.
See you next week.